and welcome back to Rap Cinema. In this universe, silence is the key to survival. A meteor has crashed down on Earth, but what it contains will leave you paralyzed with fear. Today we will be looking at A Quiet Place Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, I recommend watch that first on our channel. Get ready and follow my lead, just be sure to not make a sound. Warning, spoilers ahead. The movie starts, showing our favorite beloved dad, back from the dead. This is the first day of the alien invasion where we see how it all happened, and where these strange creatures came from. We cut to a guy in a supermarket watching telly, not doing his job. Lee walks past the rocket ship toy that foreshadows his son's death that we see in Part 1. That's gotta add to the pain. Lee returns back to his family, and it is revealed they are watching their son playing baseball, presumably playing for his school or baseball team. This is all prior to the attack of the weird hearing aliens, and we can see everyone cheering and having a gay old time. Lee gets a bit peckish and decides to replenish his vitamin C levels, as the scurvy is clearly setting in, which is resembled by his dirty pirate hands. This is where we see his daughter Regan. We know that Regan is deaf from the previous movie, but if you haven't seen either before, then well, you know now. We are introduced to a new character that we've never seen before, going by the name of Emmett. Evelyn can be seen playing with her younger son Beau, but it looks like he got some plastic surgery on his face, because he looks completely different to the boy in the first movie. Only kidding, this is because the time between the two movies is more than 3 years apart, so they had to find a young actor to replace Beau. We can see Beau giving his brother, Marcus, some sweeties for encouragement. The pitch goes silent, and everyone is suddenly interrupted as we see a giant-ass meteor falling from the sky. Everyone seems uneasy and scared as they abandon the game. Evelyn and Lee decide to take the kids home but separate so they can get their cars. As Lee gets back to his truck with Regan, a police car pulls up behind. Lee gets out to greet the man and asks him questions about the meteor to find out more information. The close-knit relationships indicates to us that the town is small, as everyone seemed to be acquainted with each other during the baseball game. Out of all of a sudden, the police car gets rammed and flipped upside down by some strange creature. Lee sees this and uses his white instincts to get the hell out of there and runs like no tomorrow back to the truck. Regan sitting in the truck, unable to hear what is going on, perfectly oxymorons the chaos that is going on around her, as Lee frantically tries to start the car and get his ass out of there. We cut to Evelyn driving the car back home with Marcus and Beau, with people running in all directions, but she hasn't seen any aliens yet, so she's in for a treat. All of a sudden, a four-legged creature attacks the beeping car in front, but since Evelyn has top-tier Fortnite reactions, she manages to evade the creature like a pro. She finds herself facing an oncoming bus, and we can see her decision-making survival skills, as she puts the car in reverse, and manages to 180 trickshot the car off the road before the creature in the bus could kill them. Simultaneously, Regan sees Evelyn's car evade the bus like a beast and she rushes to check on Evelyn. However, Lee stops her and leaves his wife to be feasted on by the four-legged creatures. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and assume it was to protect Regan, knowing his wife's an absolute beast. Lee and Regan scramble into a building called the Deep Inn, where they take shelter from the mysterious creature. However, I was too busy deep inside your mom to notice the creature come busting through the window when this girl's alarm goes off on her phone. I also want to point out the silence in the building while the creature is stalking. None of these people have any idea that these creatures are blind and can only sense sound. Yet everyone remains silent. Well, I just find that to be highly unrealistic, as there would normally be a few screamers in scenarios like these, but I think that was revealed very soon regardless, as this girl's alarm to take the cookies out of the oven is what got everyone killed. Regan and Lee managed to evade the creature and make it back to Evelyn and the kids outside, who also managed to stay alive. We see the police officer getting up from where he previously was, just as Lee comes out of the building. Either this is an extreme coincidence or maybe they were just trying to illustrate the creature's impenetrable skin. Yeah, I'm going with the second conclusion. We continue with the story from where we left off in Part 1. If you haven't seen that video, I recommend you give that a watch before you watch this one. At this point in the story, Lee has sacrificed himself to save his kids' lives, and Beau is also no longer here. Long story. Evelyn takes the baby. Yes, she also has a baby now, and they all leave the house but notice that the barn is engorged in flames. Rebellious Regan, disobeying orders as usual, goes back down to the office when her mom told her specifically to remain still. It turns out, in the last hour, Regan has developed some more brain cells and comes up with a smart idea. She gets a loudspeaker, the only super weapon capable of killing the creatures, and takes some information from her dad's workspace. Meanwhile, Evelyn goes back into the safe room to get the oxygen for the baby. Regan uses the notes from her dad's workspace and does some investigating to find out that her dad had been exploring locations through beacons seen in the distance, but all the ones he had checked had become desolate. There was one left unchecked. With their home now being destroyed, they all set out to find a new sanctuary. They trek their way as they look for a new home, not knowing where to go, being completely lost without their dad. They walk, and walk, and walk, and after following the train tracks, they come to a fence closing off some sort of warehouse building. Evelyn, not looking where she's going, sets off a trap causing some bottles to drop, making a lot of noise. She goes number 2 in her undies and bolts it through the field carrying the baby box in one arm with Regan and holding the crying baby in her hand. We can see a man watching them in the field with a sniper. Back to the chaos, as they are running, Marcus, being the silly Billy he is, accidentally walks into a bear trap. He falls to the ground confused as to what's happened. When he looks at his leg, he immediately starts to scream out in pain, and I mean he really screams. Evelyn, who is completely helpless and desperate in the situation they are in, covers his mouth in attempt to silence his cries in pain, but it doesn't seem to be much help. Evelyn pleads with Marcus to be silent, as the tears run down her face for his imminent end. Regan puts the baby in its little coffin, and being the beast she is, pulls out her speaker and gets ready to amp up the party. Evelyn, now protecting her 10 IQ son, pulls out her shotgun and 200 pumps the creature to the face, getting that victory royale. They remove the trap and help up Marcus to continue forward, as there is still another creature on their tail. The man watching through the sniper is marveled at how they found a weapon against the aliens, and appears out of nowhere to help them as they run through the warehouse. He fireman lifts Marcus over his shoulder like a badass, and leads the gang through the warehouse, with a hearing-sensitive monster stalking nearby. They bob and weave throughout the metal containers, with the creature following closely behind. They are barely making any noise, so I don't know how the creature is able to track them down in the first place. The creature begins to climb like Spider-Man behind them, showing its immense strength, destroying everything in its path. They follow the man into a hole, where Regan can be seen dolphin diving like a pro Call of Duty player. Since Evelyn is holding the baby, she decides to take another route, although we don't see the route that she takes. Regan lands on a pile of flour bags and the man puts her in a soundproof vault with Marcus so he doesn't make any sound. Evelyn appears out of nowhere and they all hide in the vault. The man is adamant that he can't help them as there is limited resources, but he then reveals his identity to them when Evelyn shows her baby. It is Emmett from the beginning of the movie that we saw at the baseball game. There is a limited amount of oxygen in the vault and a timer is used to guide them for how long they can stay in it, which isn't very long. Evelyn cleans up Marcus' wound as he screams through the pain. Watching that scene would make you grit your teeth. Absolutely painful to watch. Regan puts some headphones on Marcus to help ease the pain. Somehow, Emmett asks about the super weapon and how it works. He is shocked as he has never seen a dead alien before. Emmett reveals how he lost his sons and his wife and that he's the only last remaining survivor of the family. Suddenly Marcus raises from the dead like a zombie, as he can hear music coming from the radio. They get excited, but then Emmett tells them that there's no one left and has been hearing it for months. Regan claims that he's lying as her dad would have heard it being broadcast as well, but he dismisses them and tells them he wants them gone in the morning. Regan gets a bright idea and tracks the location of the signal using her dad's notes. The source is coming from an island and Regan wants to make the journey so she can broadcast the noise from her hearing aid and kill all the aliens. Marcus isn't on board with the idea and tells her not to go. But by morning he finds a note from her after she leaves. Evelyn finds out and pleads with Emmett to go find her instead of doing it herself. So much for feminism and gender equality. We cut back to Regan on her journey continuing along the train tracks. Regan stumbles upon a train cart and investigates inside to see if she can find anything useful. She makes it to the end of the train car where she finds a big gaping hole which could only have been left by one of the creatures. Which also reminds me of last Saturday night with your mom. Regan comes across a door and tries to bust through so that she can get a first aid kit, when she is jump scared and screams like a genius. She looks to her right and can see a creature coming towards her. She turns on her super weapon and it immediately cripples the creature. She shoots the creature in the face, but her aim isn't as good as Evelyn's and only gets a 1 damage pump shot. She isn't able to cock back the gun and closes her eyes as she accepts her fate. From out of nowhere the creature is killed as a bullet passes through its head. It is revealed that Emmett came to the rescue and killed the creature. They run and make it to a hiding place where Emmett tells Regan he's taking her back. Regan refuses and asks for his help. He agrees but tells her to rest and they will head out in the morning. Regan wakes up to find that her super weapon and Emmett are both gone, and she cries and panics as she has been deceived. However, she just got pranked, as Emmett comes back to her and tells her he found a boat to get to the island. We cut back to Evelyn where we can see her leaving for an unknown reason. She leaves Marcus in charge with the baby, which probably isn't the best decision. We can see that she went to pay tribute to her son's grave that died in the first movie. She also goes back to the pharmacy so that she can get more oxygen for the baby. Meanwhile, Marcus puts the baby in the box and nearly uses up all the oxygen because he gets bored and decides he wants to explore. He goes through the warehouse and finds a dead body and falls back and screams like a pussy. He runs back to the hidey hole and makes it down safely. Meanwhile, Regan and Emmett have found the boat and head towards it. They find a little girl running around like something out of a horror movie, but when Emmett goes towards her to help, she pranks him and ties a noose around his neck. They were set up by a group of zombie-looking hobos who take them both captive. Attached to the noose is a net full of bottles, so if he makes any noise a creature will come and kill him. We cut back to Marcus, who we thought was safe, but turns out wasn't. We can see the creature trying to squeeze through the dolphin dive hole that he was trying to get into earlier. How on earth did the creature manage to find its way down here if the place Marcus made the noise was nowhere near? Clearing the movie just wanted a longer runtime. Marcus grabs the baby and brings it with him into the vault with next to no oxygen left. He also brings in the radio, which is useless as he doesn't have Regan's earpiece, but this just serves as a convenience for the end of the movie. Marcus also manages to lock himself in the vault, forgetting to put down the cloth on the lock so he can let himself out. Nice. Evelyn makes her way back to the warehouse and hears a crash in the distance as the creature has now made its way into the base. She rushes in carrying the oxygen tanks to find a hole in the floor. Being the absolute beast she is, she sets down the oxygen tank and sets up a trap for the creature. Meanwhile, Marcus is choking and gasping for air, so he decides to steal the baby's oxygen. She fires off a shot, but when the creature comes up it doesn't attack her, which makes no sense, as how would the creature be able to pinpoint the location of Marcus when he made a sound so far away? Plot armor. The creature is conveniently standing beside the oxygen tank where Evelyn had put it, and she shoots it, causing it to explode, giving the impression that the creature is dead. We cut back to the zombie-looking people trying to take Regan away. Emmett signals to Regan to jump into the water, and pulls out a prank of his own and runs towards one of the men and grabs him, holding him against a pole so that the creature will kill him. A creature comes and starts killing all the people, while Regan chills in the water. Emmett jumps into the water, and while the creature is attacking the Emmett swims away. The creature jumps into the water and Emmett tries to get away, but the creature fails to hear Regan pulling him out of the water into the boat. Meanwhile, it turns out the creature didn't die from the explosion. This movie is full of pranks. The sprinkler goes off, and because the sound of the water, the creature can't hear Evelyn. She makes it down to Marcus and remembers put the cloth cover on the vault door, but stupidly leaves the gun outside. Regan and Emmett make their way to the island where they find a neighborhood. They sneak around until they find a bunch of people gathered around a fire, completely unaffected by any of the creatures. Emmett is greeted by a man whose name we don't know. I checked Google and his title is literally Man on Island. Emmett goes to the beach to chill and have a few cocktails when he hears a sound coming from the dock. He goes to investigate and finds the boat that the creature was on when they left. Did the creature learn how to drive the boat? Emmett rushes back to the camp where he screams for people to get inside, yet the creature ignores his screaming and goes for Guy getting water out of the well. Poor fat bastard. Multiple creatures appear and start massacring everyone as he runs back to the house that Regan is in. They stuff the kids in the closet and tell them not to come out. Not very LGBT friendly of you. The Man on Island gets Regan and Emmett in the car and starts to drive away, honking the horn to lead the creature away. The creature tears off the back of the car, but they escape and make it to the radio station. The Man on Island starts to freak out because he can't hear the creature, but he is pulled by the legs from underneath, never to be seen again. They continue to be attacked in the building, but manage to get in hiding. They find the broadcasting room, but the path is blocked by the creature. Meanwhile, Evelyn and Marcus are running low on oxygen, so decide to open the door to see what the biz is. The coast is clear, so Evelyn hops out to get some supplies. Bama Lama Shama, another bamboozle, the creature appears from behind her. So many pranks. She runs for the vault and makes it inside but doesn't manage to get the door closed. We cut back to Regan climbing through a window to get to the broadcast room, but she opens the door and the hinge makes a loud noise. Emmett jumps in front to sacrifice himself and the creature slices his leg. Regan turns on her earpiece to annoy the creature and turns on the live stream to broadcast some tunes. Marcus, also listening to some tunes, notices the change in output when Regan slams her earpiece into the microphone. The creature is attacking them in the vault, but Marcus, now being a brave man, pushes towards the creature and shoots it in the face with the gun that was left outside. Simultaneously, Regan karate chops the creature, killing it. The movie ends showing Regan being the hero of the day, saving the world from the hearing-sensitive monsters. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to turn on notifications to get the best rap cinema updates.